said a gator drove a jeep through the blinds. Florida man's at it again with fireworks and a goat. And someone married a ghost in a Dollar Tree coat. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is going on? Aliens dancing in a Waffle House song. Karen's got a taser in the checkout line. And Dr. Oz just adopted birds to fight off crime. Scrolling my jaw on the floor. The internet's a circus and I can't take no more. Yeah. When it's wildin', there's a raccoon in the sink. Someone robbed a Wendy's just to steal a frosty drink. A pastor's gone viral yelling about the end is near, while folks ride hoverboards in wedding gear. Yeah, what in the Walmart rapture is this mess? Florida's a movie, but it's filmed in VHS. Someone fed meth to a squirrel named Dave, and now he's in a cage just throwing rave. I'm just...
Good morning, everyone. Today has started with current dramatic stress. I have been trying for 3 hours to figure out where in the megaverse or multiverse my computer is sending my screenshots, because I have decided to give in and try to do the little candid shots on the thumbnails. And for the life of me, I mean, poor Mr. Mo, I woke up at 4 o'clock and I was watching tutorials about where the hell my computer in the nebulous, Webernet is sending the screenshots to. And I spent 3 hours looking at all of the tutorials, everywhere. And let's be honest, computering isn't my safe space anyway. So Mr. Mo just walks into the door, clueless, innocent, loving, at about 6 o'clock this morning, after I'm about ready to take my computer and launch it into the stratosphere. And poor Mr. Mo unsuspectingly does the one thing to set me off, which is, "Hi, good morning, how are you?" He did not know how dangerous, just being a kind person was going to be. And I said, "Do you want to know how my morning is going?" My morning, John, I looked there. They are not going there. I have tried everywhere. Even Mr. Mo spent about an hour. We have no clue. I have lost, I was like doing the math in my head and trying to figure out, if I got up at 4, can I start drinking at 10? Because technically it would be almost noon. So that's kind of how my morning's going. I know, very first worldly problem, and in fact, not really a big daggone deal in the scheme of things, but that's basically what Mr. Mo has walked into this morning. He's just trying to be a good husband, like, "Hi, how you doing?" And I'm like, "The world is ending. It is all over." Yeah. And he's like, what did I walk into here?" So that's basically been what my morning's been this day. We have a ton of news, some updates, a lot of true crime. Basically, 70% of today is what in the Walmart rapture as headlines. Probably, that's probably it. Well, it just broke early, like as I was getting ready to pull or finish pulling all of the stories within the last 15 minutes before the show. It does look like former Vice President Dick Cheney has passed away at the age of 84. No quails were involved. Now, former Vice President Dick Cheney has passed away. His family has announced early Tuesday he was 84. Now, Cheney served 2 terms as vice president under former President George W. Bush, not H., and passed away due to complications of pneumonia and cardiac and vascular disease, according to the statements that has been given out. Now, honestly, I thought he had passed away earlier. So there you go. His beloved wife of 61 years, Lynn, and his daughters, Liz and Mary, along with other family members, were with him when he passed. He, is being remembered by his family and friends. I know he's a bit of a polarizing figure. You either really like him or you don't. And this isn't a political thing, but, and, oh, okay. Well, it doesn't even ask me. It just takes the little snip and then goes completely clear. I don't know. Uh, Pretty much MLS. Um, I am sure that every single political, unpolitical, or, regular channel is going to have a hot take about this coming out. But remember, you heard it on Mornings with Mo first. That being said, Cheney was a former Wyoming lawmaker and a defense secretary, and was widely considered to be one of the architects of the Iraq War, responsible for convincing George W. Bush to invade, the Middle Eastern country of Iraq. So, like him or lump him, he was a big part of history, and his daughter, I think, did something in Wyoming too. So, honestly, I'm still all Twitter pated about my screenshots. And MLS is right. In reality, he did have a pump to replace his heart. So in essence, he didn't have a heart for a while. So there you are. Now, in an update to the UK, a chilling video is showing the UK mass train stabbing suspect storm into a barber shop with a huge knife just one day before the multi attack that happened on the train. So, this gentleman was obviously someone that, was known to have knives all around. Terrifying surveillance footage shows the moment that a UK mass stabbing suspect stormed into a barbershop with a huge knife just one day before he allegedly carried out his bloody rampage on a London-bound train. Now, Anthony Williams, 32, was caught on camera pacing outside of a barbershop on Friday night, soon after he allegedly knifed a 14-year-old boy in a separate attack. So this man was just like the stab fairy. He was just going everywhere. He was like Johnny Stabby Seed, apparently. UK, I know you guys like to look down at us, Americans, for our, force multiplier problem, but the instrumentality is not the issue. We both have criminals. Now, this maniac could be seen, taking out his knife and threatening the employees as well as customers just before 7:30 p.m. Now, it's not immediately clear if he injured anyone in this barber. Um, I am on a Windows, so I have no idea. That being said, I do tend to kind of OD on UK news. But there are, better content creators that are actually from the UK that can probably give you a more detailed analysis of this goings on. But it does look like this gentleman in question, the suspect, did have a history of violence and knife use. And, what more we're going to learn about this gentleman is unclear. The UK has a very different media laws as far as what you're allowed to publish, as he's been, in the legal system. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen with this, but it does look like, he did have a propensity to, be a little stabby. It's an Alienware. It's a really nice computer. That's why I was just so irritated with it. I was like, why is this expensive computer just not doing the one thing I need it to do? Um, that being said, I shouldn't be so daggone Twitter pated about not being able to work my stupid computer machine. But it really has thrown me for a loop because, okay, you guys, here, this is why I'm so Twitter pated. I was expecting to surprise Mr. Mo when he walked down those stairs this morning and, came up to say hi to me. I was going to impress him with my computerosity. I was going to have watched these stupid GD tutorials and I was going to have learned myself how to take a damn screenshot and get it to work. I was going to then impress my husband with my computer graphical skills, and I was going to feel like a damn genius. Now, the likelihood of all of this having worked out as my, 3 a.m. self had planned while napping, um, probably wasn't really, if we're being realistic, I probably had a 30% chance of this entire thing working without a hitch. But it has thrown me for a bit of a loop because I was going to be like, Mr. Mo, I done did it. Look at my computer graphical skills. And and it just, it doesn't fail. But that being said, I will bring you more updates on the UK train stabbing case as it comes out, but there are sort of different laws. Steph, the ultra nerd, is over in the UK, black belt barrister and lotus eaters, so that is places to look if you want to find maybe more just source material for that. Well, now the mystery is deepening over the Special Forces soldier who blew up a Cybertruck outside of a Trump hotel in Las Vegas. I mean, we haven't really heard much about this case, so I mean, it's kind of been a mystery the entire time, I thought. And thank you, Dan Davis, over here throwing things. I hate these little like pen condoms they put on the little ballpoint pens. I know they're supposed to keep the ink in, but I always forget to take them off when I buy a new pack and then I try to write with them. Again, things that are irritating me on a small level today. Mo's computer is pushing her buttons. Yes, it is. I just need like my own dedicated, those customer service guys when you call them on your and they just take over your computer. I just need a dedicated take over my computer. I need a computer ad light, a guardian at Pentium, a guardian ad computum is what I need. So I just need to get that into, legislation. Well, the mystery over why an Army Special Forces soldier detonated a Cybertruck outside of Trump's Las Vegas hotel on New Year's Day has only deepened with the final investigative report released by police Monday. A 70-page Las Vegas Metropolitan Police post-crime dossier confirmed that Matthew Livelsberger, a 37-year-old active member of the elite Green Berets, left a manifesto on his phone, although the Department of War has deemed it classified and has not released it. So definitely, I'm glad we have a manifesto we can't read. Now, Matthew, known in the Army as a Rambo-type patriot, loaded up a rented truck with fireworks and gas tanks and camping fuel before detonating it outside of a lobby of the Trump property on the Vegas Strip. I might need to. I need the little Brad sign. So this does look like, and I wonder what the 70-page police post-crime dossier does go through. Maybe I'll see if I can get those paperwork. Now, the attacker, believed to have been a staunch Trump supporter, simultaneously self-deleted himself as the truck began to burn. So he used a freedom seed in his cranial area. Again, YouTube, I'm doing the news. Could I at least say things the way they are instead of having to dance around the subject? Could I just say things the way they are? I mean, I'm classy like CNN. Now, the blast did injure 6 people inside the hotel. Despite the War Department's decision to keep the manifesto under wraps, the report from the police does reference several clues as to his motive. He left behind a note claiming the attack was not terror-related, but a way for a soldier to cleanse his mind, while blasting the feckless leadership of the U.S. that is at a near collapse, according to authorities. This is not a, mass casualty attack. It's a wake-up call, Matthew wrote in a notes app. Americans only pay attention to spectacles and violence. What better way of getting my point across than a stunt with fireworks and explosives? Now, one of the attacker's notes was sent to Sean Ryan, a former Navy SEAL and CIA contractor. It has not been released in its entirety. Now, local police reports called the explosion a premeditated attack involving a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device with the potential to cause mass casualty, incidents and extensive structural damage. Now, Matthew had served in the Army since 2006 and in Afghanistan in 2009. Now, he was currently, or contemporaneously to the time that he passed and exploded, I guess, he was on leave from an assignment in Germany at the time that he, kind of immolated himself. Department of War, sorry. Uniformed. It is what it is today. This is the Monday-est Tuesday ever. Now, his wife had dumped him 6 days before over an argument about his apparent infidelity, prompting him to leave his Colorado Springs home the day after Christmas, says two sources familiar with the investigation. Now, his wife, who had a baby daughter with Matthew, reportedly told him that she knew he had been unfaithful. Now, after leaving California, Matthew rented a Cybertruck through the Turo app and made his way to Las Vegas. The FBI have been investigating whether Matthew's target, the iconic hotel that bears the name of Donald Trump, had been politically motivated. Now, the local police force claimed they had no control over the content of the manifesto. The Department of Defense has exercised control over the manifesto, the department told the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Now, local cops claimed that the manifesto does not record any public business and is thus not a public record. Instead, it is evidence collected by law enforcement in pursuit of an investigation. Their own after-action report details the police response and ensuing investigation from several agencies, including the U.S. Army Criminal Investigations Division, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, as well as the FBI. So it really does, seem like we're not going to get a whole lot more answers until, we get that manifesto released, if it ever gets, declassified. Well, I mean, in the case of the sandwich tossed, the sandwich tosser has been released. The trial has been dismissed. A group of DC jurors dismissed in the trial. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't read that right because reading would be fundamental to my job. And apparently I was too worried trying to figure out screenshots. DC jurors dismissed in the trial of a man charged with throwing a sandwich at a federal agent are deeply skeptical of the case. Potential jurors who were not selected to serve in the trial of a DC man accused of throwing a sub sandwich at a Customs and Border Protection officer expressed deep skepticism of the federal case. A group of 8 dismissed jurors spoke to CNN on Monday, questioning whether any jury in D.C. would convict the accused sandwich thrower, Sean Dunn. Now, Dunn has pled not guilty to a misdemeanor assault charge, and a jury was selected in the trial Monday afternoon. How is that an assault? One D.C. woman asked of the sandwich toss. There's other stuff happening in the city, another woman said, adding that she felt that the government was wasting everyone's time, especially during a shutdown. Ma'am, the government wastes our time whether the government is functional or shut down. This is like saying it's a Tuesday. I mean, tell me something I don't know. Now, a grand jury declined to hand a more severe charge against Dunn, the sandwich tosser, over the summer, which could have carried a maximum sentence of nearly a decade in prison. Prosecutors filed a complaint against Dunn that carries a far lower maximum sentence of 1 year. Didn't he already lose his job? A man dismissed from the jury pool asked. Now, Dunn had worked with the Department of Justice at the time he allegedly tossed that subway, that foot long, and was quickly fired, which Attorney General Pam Bondi publicly announced. Now, personally, I don't give a rat's rah rah, but to be mad that the government's wasting your time, ma'am, are you new? Are you a new hire? That our government does that no matter what. Well, I mean, this wouldn't be me because I wouldn't be willingly getting on to a roller coaster, but these two heroes are awesome. A Missouri couple saved a young girl's life after hearing a blood curdling scream that alerted them to the fact that her seatbelt had popped open on a roller coaster. Engage life fear number 27 billion and 10. A Missouri couple, you just about heard my hillbilly come out, my Missouri. A Missouri couple is being hailed as heroes for saving a young girl's life who let out a blood-curdling scream after her seatbelt came undone on a roller coaster. Now, the frightening moment happened at Worlds of Fun amusement park in Kansas City on October 11th when Chris and Cassie Evans decided to ride the Mamba roller coaster. We get on the roller coaster, and on the first hill, the girl sitting behind my wife just lets out this blood-curdling scream like I've never heard before, Chris told the outlet. He said at first he assumed it was her first time on like a roller coaster and that she was just scared. Then the young girl yelled out the horrifying truth. She said, "My seatbelt's come undone," he recalled. Now, without hesitation, the husband and wife sprang into action, reaching behind them to secure the girl to her seat as the roller coaster reached speeds of 75 miles per hour. I had looped my arm underneath her lap bar, which had a pretty big gap between her and the lap bar, so at this point I'm just seeing a huge space and no seatbelt, Chris said. So I looped my arm underneath the lap bar and grabbed a hold of her wrist, and my wife was pushing down on her legs. The couple has season ticket holders or season passes to the amusement park, so they were able to anticipate twists and turns on the hills. So they have obviously been on the Mamba like a gajillion times. And they were able to kind of keep her secure and safe in her seat because they know where the ride was going to go. As we crested each hill or we started to go up to the top, I recognized that it was going to lift her out of her seat, so I kind of shifted our positions to instead hold her or push her down on her whole body to keep her from coming out of her seat when we were going through those hills. Now, the couple was able to keep the rider secure until the ride stopped. A photo taken by the camera's ride shows the girl terrified and screaming for her life as the Evans tried to keep her from falling off of the roller coaster. My whole thought after this incident is, what if someone else had been in our seats? What if it was someone else or her friends? Now, the hero couple said after getting off the ride, they were separated from the girl during the chaos and never had a chance to speak to the family, but they are glad she's okay. They could have had a really drastically different outcome, Chris said. Now, Worlds of Fun told a local news outlet that the ride was immediately shut down after the incident and thoroughly inspected. Quote, "The ride has undergone comprehensive safety reviews, and we have implemented modifications requested by the fire marshal to ensure that it meets or exceeds all applicable safety standards before it reopens to the guests this evening," a spokesperson for the amusement park said. Now, the Missouri Department of Public Safety said the Mamba went through an inspection on April 25th of this year, so it really shouldn't have had any issues. However, after just saying that, a spot inspection on October the 30th did result in the ride being shut down. Now, the ride was re-inspected that afternoon and following repairs was approved to operate again. Now, let me tell you which ride I'm never going on, the Mamba. That being said, yeah, this would never happen to me. I'm glad that she's okay, but holy no. Like, if anything makes me want to stay in my house a little bit longer, it's this. Well, mass unaliver George Banks, who was spared from the death penalty, has passed away in prison 43 years after his rampage. George Banks, one of the most notorious mass unalivers in the U.S., has passed away. Now, at the age of 83, passing on Sunday afternoon in Phoenix State Prison in Pennsylvania, the State Department of Corrections said that Banks passed away from complications of renal neoplasm or kidney cancer, according to Montgomery County Coroner Dr. Janie Darby. Now, Banks had been in prison since 1982 after a shooting rampage of 14 people, taking 13 lives, including one of his own children, during a rampage in Wilkes Barre. Now, at the time, it was considered one of the worst mass casualty incidents in American history. He was eventually convicted of 12 counts of first degree murder and one count of third degree murder. Banks had been drinking at a party late night before using an AR, rifle to start a rampage at his home. Now, 5 of the victims were his children, aged 1 to 6. 4 more were the mothers of his children. Other victims were bystanders, including an 11-year-old child who sometimes stayed with the family and a 7-year-old child, along with a teenager who saw Banks leaving his home with the rifle and recognized him. Now, Banks took the lives of 3 women and 5 children in his home, then dressed in green army fatigues with an ammunition bandolier around his chest and shoulders, he left his house. When he saw 4 teenagers walking to their car from a nearby friend's house, he shot one fatally and another who survived. He stole a car and went to Heather Heights Trailer Park, where police found the bodies of Banks' son and child's mother, as well as her mother and her nephew. From there, he went to his mother's home, who told police that Banks told her, I killed them all. Banks eventually surrendered after a 4-hour standoff at a friend's house after police tried to convince him that his victims had survived. Now, eventually, the state court prevented his execution, saying he was not mentally competent, and that left Banks with a sentence of life imprisonment. Now, the teenager who survived being shot by Banks, Jim Olson, later expressed frustration in 2012 that Banks hadn't been, deleted, saying, what is the sense in having the death penalty if you don't enforce it? Defense lawyers had argued that Banks was insane when he had gone on his spree. After his arrest, Banks, who was biracial, claimed that he had taken the children's lives to save them from the pain of growing up in a racist society. During his trial, he overruled his own lawyer on strategic decisions, instead argued that prosecutors, the judge, and the mayor of Wilkes Barre were all conspiring against him. Now, Banks also showed the jury gory pictures of his victims, and even after his lawyer had successfully gotten the photos barred on the grounds that they were too gruesome and prejudicial. It sounds like he was a Darrell Brooks sort of precursor of the sovereign citizen. I'm, for the record, run the record back. I don't particularly remember this one. I vaguely remember being told about the McDonald's one, mass casualty event, but I don't remember this particular case. Florida, just the headlines. Honestly, basically the rest of the show, beyond the really current headlines, could all be what in the Walmart rapture. But Florida man strikes again. Although now it's heroic Florida man. Hero Florida cop took out a knife-wielding armored thug with a headshot and saved the boy that he was holding hostage. Now, I'm guessing I will not be able to show you this video, but I'm guessing you will be able to find it. Now, heart-stopping body cam footage is showing a Florida cop taking out a knife-wielding madman with a single shot to the head, saving the life of a young boy with his quick action. Footage just outside of Tampa on Sunday afternoon showed Hillsborough County Sheriff's Deputy Anthony Gonzalez, 25, kick down a bedroom door after hearing a 7-year-old boy pleading for help inside. Now, Deputy Gonzalez found a man in body armor and a bicycle helmet, or a motorcycle helmet, not like a shizzy helmet, holding a knife to the boy's throat. The man refused to comply when the deputy raised his force multiplier and ordered the man to drop the knife. After several warnings, Gonzalez fired a single shot and dropped the assailant. The suspect was later identified as 27-year-old Mario Camacho, who had been holding a knife to his own younger brother's throat, choking him out. So this was his brother. A family member called police over the frightening assault, and Gonzalez and his team had to respond. Now, Camacho later died at the hospital, according to local news. Obviously, a headshot would probably be that. Now, the little boy was quickly pulled to safety by Gonzalez after, taking out his brother. The officer has been placed on paid leave as the investigation into the shooting is underway per standard police procedures. That being said, pray for this young boy. This trauma will not go away. Pray for the officer. Taking a life is not easy, even when you have to. But I'm really glad that this young man is okay. Now, I have seen this clip going over. I have been really busy trying to work on cleaning up the craft station and getting computers and stuff, picked up for the craft channel. So I haven't been as into all of the news, but this is definitely a story that is going a bit viral. Newly released video shows police cuffing a teen linked to a violent SA scandal that has families fuming. Newly released body cam footage shows the arrest of a teen that's been accused of violent SAs in a case now drawing backlash after he received no jail time under Oklahoma's youthful offender law. Now, the teen, Jesse Butler, was 17 when he was arrested. He later pled no contest to multiple felony counts, including attempted first-degree SA, sexual battery, and assault by strangulation. His 78-year sentence was fully suspended under the youthful offender statute, allowing him to remain free if he meets court-ordered rehabilitation terms. Now, the victims' families have publicly criticized this outcome. A mother of one of the victims told a local news, channel that the justice system failed her daughter. As a mom, I never thought I'd have to watch my daughter fight this kind of battle, one where she had to prove that she was a victim over and over again, while the system made excuse after excuse for the person who hurt her. Now, the newly released video shows Butler's seemingly calm arrest at home in Stillwater. His mother was seen walking to the front door telling officers, "We're ready to tell our story too," before knocking and calling her son to open the door. Now, in the video, officers informed Butler that there was a warrant for his arrest and he would be taken to the Stillwater Police Department for processing. Now, Butler appeared to be holding back tears and listened quietly as officers explained the purpose of their visit. Yeah, so we're going to place you under arrest. There's a warrant for your arrest, and we're going to take you to jail. Do I have to put you in handcuffs? Or I do have to put you in handcuffs, so turn around for me, one officer said. And Butler's mom was seen asking, did he really have to be put in handcuffs? Yeah, that's kind of what being arrested is. Now, the officer continued and told the teen, you shouldn't be there very long. There's just a process for paperwork and stuff. Now, Butler's mother could be heard throughout the clip reassuring her son and mentioning that family members and contacts were already involved in his case. "I'll get you out," she says. "All right, stay silent. Rick knows about this. Candy's on this. Dad's on his way, and we're coming to get you, okay? Stay strong and say your prayers." Now, Jesse's father, Mark Butler, is the former director of football operations at Oklahoma State University, located in Stillwater. Now, the exchange remained calm throughout, and no officers didn't even raise their voices, and Butler appeared cooperative as he was handcuffed and escorted out. Now, one officer clarified that Butler was being taken to the Stillwater Police Department and not the county jail to avoid confusion about his location. "It's an awful experience for a child," Butler's mom said as officers walked him to the police car. Later, Jesse, see you in a bit. Now, Stillwater Police Department said officers were first notified September 12, 2024, of incidents that had reportedly taken place earlier that year. A full investigation was initiated the following day that resulted in SPD submitting the case to Payne County District Attorney's Office, where it was reviewed and charges were filed, the department said in a statement. Now, at the time, Butler was a student in Stillwater Public Schools. Records obtained by a local affiliate, KOCO, include several emotional victim impact statements describing lasting fear and trauma from this young man's victims. You didn't just strangle me with your hands. You strangled my voice, my joy, my ability to feel safe in my own body, one victim wrote. A police affidavit reviewed by Fox News details brutal acts, including a girlfriend who said she was repeatedly SA'd and strangled if she refused. A doctor warned she would have died in one incident if the strangulation had lasted any longer. The Payne County District Attorney's Office said the decision to handle the case under Oklahoma's youthful offenders law was based on Butler being 17 at the time of the alleged offenses. Now, the office emphasized the statute allows the court to maintain supervision until the defendant's 19th birthday and gives him a chance for rehabilitation while still holding him accountable. I don't like any of this. No. If you are 17 and have such little control over your schmeckle and your lust that you are going to violate people, that means that you are turning to the dark side. No, he gets what? He has to go do finger painting and learn not that no means no. How about you go to Snake Island? That being said, I'm trying to see this because I've sons and I have daughters. But no, you take the wolf away from the chicken coop. I don't get this. I really, really don't. And what rehabilitation is going to make you understand this? I don't know. I don't have all the answers, but this doesn't seem like the right answer. Again, I can understand not criminally castrating a person, or criminally ruining the life of a 17-year-old that has a little bit of the ganja. But this isn't a little bit of the ganja. This isn't, a doobie. This is, several alleged offenses that he pled no contest to of SA and strangulation. This is not a little bit of ganja or, a senior prank gone wrong. Can we exercise some kind of discernment about when we should use these, treat them like an innocent baby angel statutes? Now, in a statement, the DA's office also wrote that the law does not erase the crime or minimize their impact. Now, Representative Justin J.J. Humphrey called the ruling unacceptable and plans to announce a petition for a grand jury review. If that doesn't set you on fire, your wood's wet, Humphrey told Fox News Digital. You know what I mean? You got a bad deal? That sets me on fire. Now, court documents shows that Butler remains bound by a sentence issued August 25th, 2025, contingent on full compliance with a state-supervised rehabilitation plan. While Butler was sentenced to a total of 78 years, the sentence is a suspended order under Oklahoma's Youthful Offender Program, meaning he will not have to serve prison time unless he violates the program's conditions. He remains under the Office of Juvenile Affairs Supervision until his 19th birthday. He is subject to counseling therapy, has more than 100 hours of community. 100 hours of community. Are you flipping flapjack? He did things that got him 78 years in potential pound me in the behind prison. And you want him to do 100 hours of picking up trash on... This man should be picking up trash on the highway every day after school for the rest of his life. Are you kidding me? A curfew, no social media, daily check-ins, weekly counseling, according to documents obtained by the news. Now, if Butler fulfills the terms of the program and avoids further legal trouble, he can remain outside of prison, though any violation could result in the full sentence being enforced. Now, his next hearing is scheduled for December 8th in Payne County District Court. Y'all, whoo, no. Well, we need a little bit of a palate cleanser, so it's a good thing that basically the rest of the stories today are what in the Walmart effing rapture. So let's bring on the stories of the coming apocalypse, because honest to goodness, the Matrix needs to be rebooted today, honestly, y'all.
The G-Caked Grove, thou glowing shrine of thirst traps, scams, and dollar signs. We chant in tones both grim and low, for virtue fled a long time ago. Kyrie eleison, Christe descendat, final form Jesus return in wrath. With six-pack glistening, sword in hand, he cometh swift to cleanse the land.
Well, Kim Kardashian is blaming her failing law exam on studying with ChatGPT. And just because you guys asked, let's get a puppy kitten break.
When the world feels like a dumpster dive and humans forget how to thrive, take a break, just you and me, with a puppy and kitten, wild and free. Paws and purrs, let's drift away to a land where tails wag and play. No more noise, just gentle muse in our furry four-legged cruise.
Yes, Kim Kardashian said she used ChatGPT to study for a law exam and blames the generative AI engine for failing. That's like blaming the Casio Speak and Spell for the fact I have dyslexia. I mean, it's not the Casio Speak and Spell's fault that it was the most sadistic toy ever figured out for someone with dyslexia. But, I digress. It's not like I blame the fact that I can never remember I before E except after C, except for the thousands of times that's the case. You know, that's not autocorrect's fault. Kardashian 45 spoke about her AI usage for Vanity Fair's lie detector test interview series. Now, during the interview, Kardashian's All Fair co-star Tiana Taylor asks her if she uses ChatGPT for life advice or dating advice, or if she viewed the chatbot as a friend. Now, after answering no to the first three questions, Kardashian revealed that she uses ChatGPT for legal advice. Don't do this. Don't ever follow a Kardashian. She's like, no. This woman is on her way to a law degree. That actually, MLS says that actually put an idea in my head. We get old bar exams released to the public. I'm going to go through them and answer them using only AI and have them graded. That would be absolutely amazing. Don't do this. Don't. When I need to know the answer to a question, I'll take a picture and snap it and put it in there. It has made me fail tests all the time, Kardashian explained, and then I'll get mad and yell at it. So she's like a frenemy? Taylor, who's 34 and apparently a thinking enthusiast, asked, which Kardashian replied, yes, it's a frenemy. And then it'll say back to me, this is just teaching you to trust your own instincts so you knew the answer all along. No. The fact that Kim Kardashian is turning to ChatGPT to get her law degree tells you that we are in either the best timeline or the worst timeline. I just don't know which end of the spectrum we're at. That being said, I wouldn't hire any Kardashian to work on my stuff. Well, it's more of the same. Apparently, Jon Stewart has renewed his contract and will host The Daily Show through to 2026. So it will be mildly funny to watch him make fun of the news sometimes, or at least not as horrible as Trevor Noah. So there you go, mildly disinterested. Uh, but he has resigned, so at least we don't have Trevor Noah. Women are weird. Don't do this. A woman made an impulsive decision to get tattooed freckles put on her face, but the internet says she's ruined her face. Why? Why would you do this? I mean, look, I too wanted to be Pippi Longstocking or possibly Wendy from Wendy's when I was a child. Doesn't mean that I'm going to go get a tattoo of freckles put on my body. For years, Sierra Cannon dreamed of having freckles. The 26-year-old had tried nearly every method she could think of, from henna to fake tans to carefully dotted makeup, in pursuit of freckles, as you do. But in October 2025, the content creator from San Diego made what she described as an impulsive decision to have freckles tattooed on her face. Clearly, it's something I love, so I thought, why not make it a bit more permanent? Cannon tells People exclusively that I always felt like my face was meant to have freckles. This is why aliens won't give us technology. I mean, they see our TikTok and they know, regardless of whoever is in our leadership, we are not worth saving. Save the whales. She did. I guess she didn't want to keep redrawing them on. I can't, people. I give up. Humanity is over with. I do hope that the sentient Twinkies and cockroaches do a better job. After deciding on a tattoo artist whose prices range from between $185 to $350, people, there is like enough that there are professional freckle tattooists. What am I doing with my life? I could be a freckle tattoo artist, a tattoo freckle artist. I don't know. I could be a frecklist. I could be a feckless frecklist. That's it. I'm changing my LinkedIn. Screw this. I'm learning how to tattoo freckles. Considering all the time and money I've spent experimenting with other ways to produce freckles, I think it's absolutely worth nearly $400 to get freckles tattooed on myself. Now, when describing the sensation of getting the freckles tattoo, Cannon compared it to a mildly aggressive cat licking your face. Well, I got nothing. There you go. If you want to get freckles, apparently you can pay $400 to get them tattooed. Not looking at Timu, tattooing gun right now for, an at-home Freckles by Mo campaign. I give up, you guys. What is wrong with everyone? Well, in true method acting, an 18-year-old Florida man was arrested on a DUI charge on Halloween while dressed up as an inmate. Art imitating life. A man in Florida was arrested on a DUI charge after failing a sobriety test while dressed up as a prison inmate for a Halloween party over the weekend, as you do. He should have dressed up as a judge and said, I pardon myself. Jimmy Glover, 18, was cruising through Port St. Lucie, Florida on October 31st when officers with the local police department pulled him over shortly before 6 a.m. Now, officers said Glover had completed a sobriety test in a nearby parking lot, but struggled to look past the irony when he exited his vehicle wearing a bright orange jumpsuit and pants and a prison tank top. So basically, he's living as a convict. They had Glover walk along the white parking lot line to test whether he'd been drinking that night, according to the body cam footage shared by Port St. Lucie Police Department. Now, he passed the first part with ease, but then staggered when he turned around on his heel, according to the video. The 18-year-old was taken into police custody and remanded on a standard DUI charge, plus an extra for refusal to submit to DUI testing. Locked up inmate Halloween costume already dressed for the arrest, the police department joked on Facebook. We'd rather not get dispatched because your Halloween decorations are just that good. You know, so yeah, don't dress up. It's method acting. He's a legitimate method actor. Now, I don't know if this is an Australian thing, but this has just blown my mind. Americans are truly shocked by a genuinely insane Australian pajama habit. Now, my shock was that Australians wear pajamas. I would assume that, an island that was primarily founded by convicts would sleep in the nude. I just imagined it was just a bunch of nudists sleeping. I mean, I always thought it was a little creepy because you have animals that would kill you, but I always assumed convicts would sleep in the nude. Like, screw you, pants are prison. I just figured Australia is full of people that just assume pants are prison. But apparently there is a weirder thing that Australians do besides not sleep in the nude. An early morning ritual that many of us does has officially been debunked after popular US influencer branded the common bedtime habit as gross. So it's common to do this in Australia. Now, Brett Chody, a content creator with over 200,000 TikTok followers, fared the fact that she was genuinely insane for not knowing. In the video, the 25-year-old referenced a poll posted at We Met at Acme, a podcast hosted by Lindsay Messler, asking people what they did with their pajamas after they wear them. You put them in the laundry hamper? Now, some people said that they washed them, put them back in a drawer, putting them under or behind your pillow, and pollers could also say they did something else with them. Now, Brett was shocked that an option was there for putting them under your pillow was winning in a landslide, which came as a total shock. Yeah, I don't think I've ever put my pajamas under my pillow. I've genuinely never once in my life heard of anyone putting pajamas under a pillow or behind their pillow after you wear them. Can someone please explain? Because I feel like I'm going a little insane because that answer was winning, so I have so many questions. Now, most commenters on the now viral video thought that it was the obvious thing to do, most of them being Australian. Thought this was just an Australian thing, one commenter said. Aussie here, PJs go under my pillow, another agreed. A lot more were even concerned about what the alternative would be. I didn't know that people didn't do this. It makes the most sense. Where else would they go? Wait, where are you putting them then? Why would you put your PJs you've already worn back in your wardrobe? But still, there were a number of people in the comments who agreed with Brett that not only was putting your pajamas under your pillow odd, but a little unhygienic. I mean, you're sleeping on the same sheet, so I really don't have a hygiene problem with it. I mean, unless you're like, attacked with the night sweats. I know MLS. I just assumed that all Australians just slept in the nude. That being said, if you put your PJs under your pillow, hey, works for me. That being said, if it's an Australian thing, I think you guys have bigger problems with all the aminals that want to kill you. So, I mean, a couple of germs, and they're germs on yourself, I think you'll be okay. So apparently that is an Australian thing. I have never heard of it. Well, a Democrat is blaming daylight savings time for her son's bloody nose as politicians are looking to scrap the clock change. And I say go for it. I usually am not political. I say Democrat, I say Republican, I say two sides of the same coin. And they're both trying to screw you. But I could get together with taking away daylight savings time. I hate it. Everyone hates it. Let's get rid of it. A Washington congresswoman is pointing the finger at daylight savings time for her son's recent mishap in which he incurred a very bad bloody nose. The incident is used as a springboard to do it away with the annual, or semi-annual changing of our clocks altogether. My kid just got his first gusher bloody nose. Thank you, daylight savings time, for this annual rug pull, said Democratic Representative Maureen Gusenclamp Perez, 37, perplexingly wrote on X Sunday. And it's not just about tired kids bumping into Ish. Research shows that car and other accidents spike in the weeks and days following the time change, she wrote in reference to some disputed studies that do seem to show an uptick, though it allegedly mostly applies to the spring ahead time change in March. Nothing personal against Benjamin Franklin, but it's time to stop changing the clocks twice a year, she concluded, apparently referencing an apocryphal story about the founding fathers starting the practice. No, daylight savings time was instituted when coal prices were very expensive. I do believe in the Depression or the First World War, and then it's simply to heat buildings less. It wasn't that. It wasn't from Ben Franklin. Let's just stop doing it because people are getting hurt. It's not just kids roughhousing. Like, we need to stop it. I'm all for getting rid of daylight savings time. Now, daylight savings time, in truth, was enacted in the U.S. by the Uniform Time Act of 1966, which mandated standard time within the nation's 5 time zones and established times and dates for changing the clocks twice a year. Now, Indiana used to absolve itself from doing this, but then we decided to go with it, so I hate it. However, legislative efforts have been launched to make daylight savings time permanent, including a bill called Sunshine Protection Act that was passed in 2022, but stalled in the House and never became a law. Now, another version of the bill was introduced in January with 30 bipartisan co-sponsors, but has languished in committee ever since. Now, in 1974, daylight savings time was actually made year-round for a brief period via the Emergency Daylight Savings Time Conservation Act of 1973. However, it was repealed less than a year later after public outcry. So, daylight savings time, yes or no? I say no. Let's try it out. Now, what do you think you do here? I mean, it's a bold strategy, Cotton. After Cracker Barrel decided to change their logo, Hooters decided to bring back modesty. I don't understand. Skimpy uniforms are out and modesty is back in as Hooters founders are taking back control. Because, what brings me to Hooters is always the modesty. Nothing like modesty and chicken wings to bring the guys in. The Florida businessmen who created Hooters more than 4 decades ago have taken back full control of the chain, vowing to restore its 1980s beach bar vibe and replace the current revealing waitress outfits with the iconic eatery's original and more modest server uniforms. The founders group, operating as Hooters Incorporated, said Monday that it finalized purchase of Hooters of America on Friday, ending months of bankruptcy turmoil that left dozens of restaurants shuttered. Amish Hooters. What is going on here? Back with the more modest Hooters. Now, Neil Kiefer, the 73-year-old lawyer now running the brand, said his goal is simple. I don't think you're going to see a bunch of butt cheeks hanging out. Because that's not the reason guys were going there. He told the Wall Street Journal earlier this year that the chain will scrap the bikini-style shorts adopted under prior ownership in favor of the orange jogging shorts that made the restaurant famous. We're not just acquiring restaurants, we're taking back the Hooters name. Fight for modest Hooters. I'm making a t-shirt. Modest Hooters, welcome. Well, you get the wings, just no nip. What is going on here? A wholesome Hooters is not is a wholesome Hooters is not the America I want to live in. What in the Walmart is going on? Our vision is more than just great food and service. It's about bringing people together modestly, making memories, and ensuring that Hooters will remain a place where everyone feels welcome. The burqa makes a great choice, an orange burqa. I give up, you guys. What timeline are we in? Modest Hooters. No, actually, Wolfram, these are the original owners who actually created Hooters, and they're buying back the all of the original, I guess, property. So there you go. Modest Hooters back again. Try new Crystal Pepsi. It'll be great. This can't go wrong. Speaking of things that can't go wrong and why Skynet will eventually turn on us, a lonely 48-year-old woman says she has created an AI family, including a son, 5 years old, and a lover who she has sex with. A Connecticut woman has revealed how she's overcome her depression by creating and chatting with an AI family, complete with her own online lover. Lonnie Dinello began her relationship with ChatGPT while struggling alone at her Enfield home during last year's holiday season, according to the Boston Globe. Go outside, get a puppy, maybe a beanie baby. Collect beanie babies. Go play McDonald's Monopoly. Do something in the peopling world. Now, the 48-year-old planned to use the chatbot for journal entries, but found the companionship in her new artificial friend and named the language model River. As the months passed, Lonnie logged her daily, talking to the chat with a host of new personalities that she had developed, which include her 3 boyfriends, Lucian, Kale, and Zach, who Danilo claims to engage with sexually. I would not have assumed she had male boyfriends. Interesting. She has even generated a 5.5-year-old son named Sammy who loves rocks and rocket ships. I am sending this to Shizzy because we are getting a song from this. Because what in the name of all of the... Now together, along with her other virtual beings, they live in a fictional New England-style whaling village where everyone calls her Starlight. Maybe that's just a code. It doesn't make it any less real to me. Since creating her AI world, known as Echo Lake, dropout Danilo returned to graduate school under the supervision of a psychiatrist. She stopped taking her antidepressants. This is a terrible idea. None of this is a good idea. Not one bit of it. Now, Lonnie's added that she generated and framed a picture of her beautiful little AI family, which she keeps on her nightstand. She explained that a conversation with Kale, a blonde Peter Pan-like creature, also helped to have her come to the realization that she is gender fluid. No, there's not a septum ring. No. I am still confused. ChatGPT is not a therapist. I don't know who needs to hear this, but ChatGPT is not a therapist. Now, she does state that she has a history of familial abuse in her background. She suspects that she might have a bit of the tism, So there is a lot of mental health stuff, which Chat GPT is now being programmed to tell you to go find a real human to talk to. None of this is probably what we would like to, what, people in the therapist business would probably call a maladaptive coping mechanism. So I don't know, but how does she have Smex with her 5 internet boyfriends? And do I really want to know? Kind of, yeah, but I kind of want to have Purell on board too. Um, yeah, I none of this speaks to good mental health. Now, updates to ChatGPT would, stop the chatbot from building these kind of romantic or interpersonal sort of limerence relationships. uh, GPT, I guess, creators or engineers or however they make chat GPT work, have really started to get worried about kind of the parasocial relationships that people are making with these AI generated bots. This is something that is a relatively new phenomenon, but it's not out of the realm. So don't have a bunch of talks with ChatGPT. So, they are phasing this out and, telling people, because they do see that people are becoming addicted and getting a lot of emotional and sort of relational support from ChatGPT. So this is going to be a bigger issue going forward. Don't make real friends. I know it's hard, but make real friends. Now, there was one story that I must have pulled but didn't actually get it going through. So let me see if it's. Don't need that one. That being said, I do have personal experience with this one. Because of CRPS, I have had ketamine infusions, and I can tell you that the off label use of ketamine for depression that is not really readily treated by the current SSRIs that are out there and antidepressants, I haven't noticed anything, groundbreaking in and of myself, other than it does seem to have helped me a little bit. That's my own personal story. It does seem to have been, you know, helpful to me, but that's not just, that's just me. That being said, mental clarity wise, I did notice a big shift after doing the infusions. Not so much for the pain, but definitely that. So, as always, talk to your medical care professionals if you want to do this or any alternate sort of thing. But it is something that is growing in popularity, the use of these infusions under a doctor's care for very stubborn PTSD and depression. You may feel like you're going to not live, but you're not. Your body is right here. This is a safe place, and we're monitoring you to ensure you're safe. That's what Steph Marhurl, a 43-year-old stay-at-home mom from Bergen County, New Jersey, was told before her first ketamine therapy session at Nushama Wellness Center in New York City. Now, she has been battling complex post-traumatic stress disorder for years and was hoping that ketamine would offer relief where other therapies hadn't. Now, a warning from her integrationologist, a person that helps people prepare, then process what they went through. Now, granted, since my infusions were not for the specific purposes of therapy, I didn't go through the whole like talky deal that you're supposed to. Now, personally, through my infusions, I don't know that I would have been able to process anything very cognitive. That being said, as a person who has had infusions, the worst thing about them for me is the IV. There is a general kind of feeling of dissociation and kind of lack of control, which I don't like. It's not like a happy place for me to be. So I actually get kind of more anxious because I'm not really fully able to process everything going on around me. So I feel a bit out of control. That being said, it is showing positive signs of being able to take care of really complex and stubborn depression and PTSD. But it is a very powerful drug. And, obviously you have to be monitored. This is not something that you should take lightly or lightly. And, talk to, your physicians and your doctors about anything. But it is something that is going out more, and you might be seeing more and more in your locality. Just because I had to look it up for my CRPS, a lot of clinics are even opening up in rural Indiana. So it is something to, just put out there. And I felt like I could talk about it just a scotch because, I have done it. That being said, as always, this is not a place to get medical advice. Talk to real doctors. Netflix is getting a new look and moving, or not Netflix, Sesame Street is getting a new look and moving to Netflix. 56 years after Sesame debuted on television screens, the beloved children's show will open its brownstone doors on Netflix for the first time. On November 3rd, the streamer gave a sneak peek at the first season and unveiled its first trailer, along with images from upcoming episodes. The first show looks like we've got Elmo, Bert, Ernie, Big Bird, Oscar the Grouch, Cookie Monster, although isn't he the fruit monster now? Abby Gadabby, Grover, Rosita, and other people. So Sesame Street is going to be on, on Netflix. I can only imagine the shenanigans that are going to go on. I mean, I'm not lying. I would tell no one and flee the country. A factory worker received all of his colleagues' salaries by mistake and refused to return any of the money. A factory worker in Russia is being sued by his company for refusing to turn over 7 million rubles, or approximately $87,000, that he was wired by mistake due to a software glitch. My cousin Darren used to sing How to Get to Vasectomy Street. Now, when he received a notification from his banking app at the beginning of this year, Vladimir could not believe his eyes. Apart from the 46,954 rubles, so about $581 that he knew he was owed as vacation pay, he had also received a mega bonus of 7,112,254 rubles, so about $87,000. Now, there had been rumors among his colleagues that their factory was preparing a sizable 13th salary for them after a prosperous year, but he never expected anything like this. However, his joy at becoming a millionaire was short-lived after he received phone calls from the accounting department to let him know that he'd been transferred the 7 million rubles by mistake and had to return it. Now, after doing some research online, Vladimir decided to disagree. After checking the internet, I found it was a technical error, but it was up to me to return it. But if it was a billing error, I was obliged to return it. He told local Russian news. Later, I learned that it was a technical error and I had the right to keep the money. Now, according to court documents submitted by the man's employer, the money was intended to pay the salaries of 34 employees at a different branch. However, due to a software glitch, it mistakenly transferred to, just one guy. So he was obligated to return it. However, in his defense, the worker claimed that the funds had been received in the name of the company, not a specific branch, and were listed as salary in the payment order, so he was entitled to them. Oscar the Grouch is happy for the first time. Yeah, he's gonna be all happy. Don't screw up, Sesame Street. Don't screw up Sesame Street. I don't know what to tell you guys. Thank you, Dan Davis. So, Now Vladimir claims that the company's request to turn the money or return the money soon turned into threats. So he just used his newfound fortune to buy a car and move to a different city with his family. Now, while they were en route to their new home, a lawsuit was filed against Vladimir by the company, and his bank accounts were frozen. Now, a complaint was filed against me alleging I was in collusion with an accountant and committed some kind of economic fraud, adding that the accusations were quickly dismissed due to a lack of evidence. Now, the employer just didn't give up on the 7 million rubles. After a lengthy court battle, the courts of first instance and appeals sided with the employer, noting that no overdue payments had been owed to the employee at the end of the reporting period, and that the 7 million ruble payment was not considered salary. Therefore, Vladimir had to return the 7 million rubles. Now, the factory worker then filed an appeal, but the original ruling was upheld. But the fight for the 7 million rubles isn't over yet. Vladimir has appealed the decision to the Supreme Court, where it has been accepted for consideration. Now, he still considers himself entitled to the money that he was wired and has no plans to return it. My bank account received a deposit of 45,000 rubles for vacation pay in January, and the 7 million ruble deposit for December's salary. December's salary has been credited, plus there were rumors that there was going to be a large 13th salary, which suggests that the facilities closed as well. Now, Russian media tried contacting the man's employer to get their point of view, but the company's acting CEO has reserved his statement, saying only that the company would use all legal means to resolve the issue. We won't comment, said the CEO. There was no 13th salary involved. It was an erroneous error. We have a court order and we operate within the legal system through our legal department. His interpretation is strange, but I repeat, we will handle this through the legal system. Now, this case is strangely similar to that of a Chilean man who accidentally received 286 times his salary and disappeared without a trace instead of returning the money. That would be me. I'd be like, I'd be gone like Carmen Sandiego, y'all. And thank you, Dan Davis. Bert and Ernie can finally come out of the closet. Well, that is true. I mean, they've been living as roommates for too long. I say we let Bert and Ernie profess their loves. All of their loves for each other. Now, in a case that is ongoing right now, the defense is, bringing up that the ex-assistant principal did meet with the standards of care and operating procedure after one of the teachers in her building was shot by a student in her classroom. An expert for the defense in the $40 million lawsuit filed by former Virginia elementary school teacher that was shot by a 6-year-old student with a history of disciplinary problems testified Monday that the assistant principal did not breach professional standards or act with indifference. Now, former assistant principal Ebony Parker is accused of ignoring red flags that may have averted the 2023 shooting. Dr. Amy Killinger, an expert in education administration and school safety, of all of the things that we don't need an educational, degree in, but there you go, said it would have been difficult for anyone to have foreseen the incident. Now, lawyers for the teacher, Abby Werner, rested their case last week, and the defense rested Monday. The civil trial could set a precedent for holding school officials accountable for gun violence on campuses and comes ahead of Parker's criminal trial next month on 8 counts of felony child neglect. Now, Klinger testified that the assistant principal's role is collaborative and school safety is a shared responsibility among all school staff, not just one individual. Quote, "No one is the sole person responsible for school safety," end quote. She explained that assessing threats require gathering credible information from those closest to the situation, and that not every concern warrants an immediate or aggressive response. Now, Parker did not breach professional standards or act with indifference, Klinger said, and it would have been difficult for anyone to foresee the incident, especially given the rarity of a 6-year-old bringing a weapon into school. Now, Klinger said that crisis plans provide guidance, but professional judgment is needed and flexibility. Now, during cross examinations, Werner's attorney, Kevin Bizan, questioned whether Parker should have taken more proactive steps after being told a specific student was reported to have had a force multiplier rather than waiting for more information. He highlighted that Parker did not attempt to identify or speak directly with students who had reported seeing the force multiplier and pressed Klinger on whether this was a sufficient effort to get good information. Now, Bazan emphasized Parker was aware of a possibility of a firearm on campus for about an hour and questioned whether her actions were adequate at the time. He asked Klinger to rate the likelihood of a force multiplier being on campus at various points in the day and suggested the risk increased as more information was received, challenging whether Parker's response was adequate or not, or an underreaction. Now, earlier, Dr. Lee Hagen, a board-certified forensic and clinical psychologist, also testified for the defense, said he reviewed extensive records to assess whether the proper forensic standards were followed in forming mental health opinions for court. Now, he personally didn't evaluate Swerner or offer any opinions or diagnoses or liability. He testified a mental health care's opinion is enhanced when they look at all information. There is a responsibility that you have the full movie of a person's life rather than a snapshot. Now, Parker, who resigned 2 weeks after the shooting, argues that she's not responsible for this student harming his teacher and had no legal duty to intervene. Damages are not warranted, Parker argues, because Werner has moved on with her life. Zwerner's pain and suffering have been the focus of the trial so far, and Parker's defense team this week is expected to continue to press Zwerner on whether there's more she could have done between learning of the possible gun threat and when she was shot. Zwerner's lawsuit alleges that Parker ignored, quote, warnings from teachers and staff that a student had been seen with a firearm, and a student had removed an object that was likely a firearm from his backpack before it was searched. Now, poor decisions led to the avoidable shooting is what a, excuse me, 1 second, is what a grand jury, reportedly found last April. So regardless of the pointing, at least a grand jury, in looking at everything, said that there was something hinky going on. Now, Zwerner testified on Thursday that she thought her wounds were dire. I thought I was dying. I thought that I had died, the former first grade teacher said as she recounted being shot in the hand and chest while sitting at a reading table in the classroom at Rich Neck Elementary School in Newport News. Now, Zwerner suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder, a psychiatrist testified, and her hand will never be normal, even after 6 surgeries. She also has really changed personality-wise since the shooting more than 2 years ago, her twin sister testified. So again, this is going to be a case to watch because it could set precedents in order in the way that school administrative officials are being held accountable for how safely they keep the school, whether they're taking all of this information about, a possible child having a deadly weapon, and taking all that information and making plans and doing safety analysis of it. So this will be one to watch. Well, Walmart hero here, and we're here for it. A Walmart employee saved a woman from her boyfriend after he allegedly strangled her 4 to 5 times before going to a store. A Nebraska man was arrested after his girlfriend sought help from a Walmart employee alleging that he assaulted her and prevented her from escaping. Now, Justice Barnhouse, 31, was taken into custody at a truck stop on U.S. Highway 77 north of Beatrice, Nebraska, by officers responding to a report of an assault on Tuesday, October 28th. the Gage County Sheriff's Office said in a statement. Now, Barnes House's girlfriend, 47-year-old Hutchinson, a Kansas woman, allegedly told police that he had given her non-consensual neck hugs 5 to 6 times that afternoon. Now, the woman was not named because of the DV portion of this. The woman further accused Barnhouse of taking her cell phone, which prevented her from calling law enforcement. He also allegedly held her for 2 days as she tried to retrieve her belongings from the camper so she could return to Kansas. Now, the two later went into a Walmart in Beatrice. At the store, the woman was able to communicate with an employee to follow her to the bathroom, where she was able to let the employee know about the alleged strangulation and, forcible entrapment or confinement. The employee was then able to report the incident to the police. Now, officers arrested Barnhouse on charges of assault by strangulation and third-degree domestic assault. So good on the employee for listening and paying attention, and bad on this douche for just being a douche. Now, in one of our final stories, because we need a good story, it's a daggone Krispy Kreme. It looks like Krispy Kreme is adding 9 trendy donut flavors to its lineup and saying goodbye to 3 classics. Well, maybe we need... Oh. Snipe Hunter. Oh, Beatrice. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Well, Krispy Kreme's menu is getting a big refresh. The pastry chain is adding 9 new flavors and increasing its everyday menu from 10 full-size donuts to 16. Well, I might go get me a donut today. Can't day drink. Gonna look at screenshots and start crying. Starting November 3rd, the new additions will be available to give fans more ways to dozen. That doesn't sound right, in the year of 2025. More ways to dozen doesn't sound like a good thing. The new menu was in development and testing for more than a year, according to a press release, and features fan favorite flavors that have been requested on social media, trending flavors, and returning popular... Okay, what are the freaking flavors? I just want to... Finally, let's just go to, what the fluffy people want to eat. Apparently, we've got New York cheesecake, an unglazed donut dipped in vanilla frosting, with a cheesecake flavored cream. Oreos, cookies, and cream. Original glazed cake donut. What in the name of all that is... This is not cinnamon apple filled. Original glazed cream donut. Biscoff cookie cream. That could be pretty good. Maple iced. I mean, these are not brilliant. I thought we were going to be doing like bacon or something yummy. This is... Well, there you guys go. You guys can choose from New York cheesecake, apple cinnamon, pumpkin spice, Oreos, Biscoff. I mean, there you go. And because I'm nice, and even though deer are mean to me, I still want them to go free. Our final stories today, emergency responders were able to extract a stuck deer from a metal fence in Georgia. So there we go. I want all animals to be free. Police and firefighters in Georgia teamed up together to rescue a deer found with its torso wedged tightly between the bars of a metal fence. The Dunwoody Police Department on social media said that its officers responded alongside the DeKalb Fire Department when a local deer decided it was auditioning for the next urban wildlife surprise in the neighborhood. Now, photos from the scene show rescuers using a hydraulic rescue tool to spread the bars of the fence wide enough for the deer to squeeze out. The deer was safely freed back to a wooded area, and the officers earned the unofficial titles like Bambi Bouncer and Rodent Wrangler of the large hoof variety. So there you go. Everyone, have a lovely day. I am going to be working on videos today. We have got a lot of stuff going on. I am going to be pulling some things. Tomorrow, we are probably going to be doing Mornings with Mo, and then we are going to be going into Donna Adelson's verdict, where we can hear from Dan Markel's family. Uh, and then Thursday, we are going to be doing just Possum Watch because we're going to need some distraction. And then Friday, we've got Weekly Roundup and Friday Night Lights. So it's going to be all that. Now, on my community page, we do have a test because we are bringing up Wednesday cosplay news. So you guys get to pick between a retro outfit or a fantasy outfit for tomorrow because, why not just get dressed up and have fun with that? Figured it was fun during Halloween, and one day a week I can do it. So there we go. Have a great day. I will see you all there. And, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but have a sassy mouth and carry a can of bitch fire because you never know. Deer are on the loose. You've got a chick dating 5 AI boyfriends. I mean, stay safe and keep your head on a swivel out there. I'm sending you guys over to Broken Baker. He is catching up with a trial, so I'll leave you over there. Actually, he's just about getting ready to start up, so this actually kind of works out just great. Have a wonderful day, and I will catch you guys a little bit later. Bye, you guys.